Did you watch the movie The Goonies? I loved that movie growing up, and all the adventure movies, all the idea of treasure maps. And I think now it's Outer Banks, right? It's the illusion or the allure of this possibility of these hidden treasures, the gold and the value that is going to be discovered that you don't know. When you have a treasure map, you don't know if it's going to lead you somewhere good or if it's going to be a dud. You don't know what the true treasure is, but you have to go on a journey in order to discover it. Hi, welcome to the Full Weight of Joy podcast. My name is Tami, and I help women discover their true identities, their true strengths and their gifts and their talents. Because when we understand how we're wired, when we understand how God created us, our strengths, our gifts, our talents, our purpose, our calling, we understand how to communicate our needs and give grace to others. When we understand team dynamics, when we interpersonal skills, when we understand all of these things, we can really step into who we're called to be. And so today I am talking about these hidden treasures that we hold and we are not given a map to, but then we kind of are. But you have to discover the map first. You have to want to discover them in order to find them. A lot of times you will have them and you'll use them, and them is your strength. I wanted to talk about this because so many times I in my own life and in my friends and in my clients and just you watch amazing people work. And a lot of times they don't know what makes them unique. They don't know why they're so good at something, or they don't even know what they're truly good at. And so I want to talk to you today about the strengths you don't see. I want to talk about these hidden treasures because it's like a treasure map. We get to go on a journey because these hidden values that we have within us are meant to be leveraged. They are, and I'll talk to you, I won't get ahead of myself. I have my outline, but I will, just some of these things that we don't discover. It's really putting us at a disadvantage. When we know them, we can use them, we can leverage them. And so I wanted to talk to you about some of the tools you can use to discover them. We're going to talk about some examples of hidden strengths because we prioritize in general, our society prioritizes the strengths that we see. The tangible, hold them in your hand. You can do math. You can write. You have muscles, so you're strong. So you can see the evidence visibly and of the strengths. But there's so many inner intangible strengths that we hold. Now, a few podcasts ago, I talked about some intangible goals that we can work on, that we can see how we're growing. But today I wanted to talk about these hidden strengths because, we don't give them the value, the time. We don't take the time to discover them, and it's really holding us back. And so because they're overlooked. And so I just wanted to talk to you about that because as we're going into the new year, I don't want you to leave this on the table. I don't want you to leave this, in the deep inside the ship that is hidden and just waiting for you to discover it. I want you to go on the quest to find it. I want you to discover, and it's not that hard. There's no booby traps. There's no pirates. Luckily, that might be kind of fun in the movies, but I don't want to see them in real life. But there are some twists and turns. There'll be some dead ends, but are there really dead ends? It's not, you'll be able to you'll have a roadmap to discover them. And so let's just talk, let's dive in, let's go for it. But let's talk about how, in general, we focus on our weaknesses. If I ask you right now, if we're having coffee or tea, in my case, if we're sitting and I was like, so what are you really good at? Or give me one of your strengths. You'll probably downplay, or you won't give me a detail. We're not, we'll give some, I'm really good at project management, or I'm really good organized, or I'm good at, coding computers. I'm really good at public speaking. We have these tangible, visible strengths. We have the ones that people have told us that we're good at. But typically, if we're saying, oh, what are some of the weaknesses that you have? Like, we can tell you everything that we do wrong. I can tell you that sometimes I want to get things right. And so sometimes I get paralyzed when I don't know the right direction to go in. I want to have a clear picture of where I'm going. And so if that map isn't clear, if my treasure map is not all laid out, then I'll get paralyzed and it will take me longer to do something. And so those are some weaknesses. And again, we can rattle off what we're not good at, but to know what we're good at is something that we've been taught that these are not things we talk about. Don't be prideful. You don't want to seem like arrogant. You don't want to, you don't want to be prideful, arrogant, or lost the other word, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, stay small and let other people shine and just work on your weaknesses, focus on those to bring those stronger. Well, I believe that if we really dive into our strengths, then our weaknesses work out themselves. That's where we can delegate. That's where we can get support. But if we know what we're really good at, a lot of times we can work things around what our strengths are. And so let's dive in a little bit here because I did go off script slightly. I did go off my outline, but that's okay because that's what I do all the time. And instead of restarting, we're just going to keep going with it because I want you to see that there's beauty in the journey, this quest that we can go on to discover our strengths. Though it's not an easy, perfectly lined out yellow brick road, there's so much treasure in it. There's the obvious gems that, and you think back of the ship that's in Goonies, they had like the gold and the jewelry and everything. So that's what we're discovering. And well, let's talk about what some of the examples are. So some of the examples are empathy and active listening. There is something to be said about someone who's a really good listener and not just listen to discover what to say next. You know what I'm talking about. Those people who really are just looking for a way to talk more. But an active listener of someone who listens to understand, listens to comfort, listens to just be a listening ear, not to add to the conversation. There's also the empathy. We often undervalue these crucial skills of empathy. It's different than sympathy. Like, I don't want to feel sorry for you. I don't want people to feel sorry for me, but to empathize with someone is actually a strength because it is not about feeling sorry for them. It's understanding where they're coming from. And so those two are hidden strengths that in the workplace, in the home, like for, with kids, spouses, friends, we need that empathy and that active listening because even with dealing with a teenager, they don't want to know the answer because they have all the answers, but they want me to engage with them. So the active listening and being like, really? What else? And then what happened next? And what did you discover? Like asking questions and letting them talk about it and figure out their response, what they want from it is such a skill that a lot of people don't realize that it's not natural to everybody. So if that's something natural to you, like own it. Adaptability and resiliency. So I do believe that these are muscles that we can flex, that we can build. But if you're naturally able to adapt to situations and to be more resilient, like recognize the ability to thrive under pressure or through change is so important and it's needed. That's one of the things that I have a friend who she's going to be on the podcast soon, and I know she's listening. But she talks about crisis communication. And so this whole resilience is she works with people before a crisis happens. So they have a plan because when you have an understanding, but she's really good under pressure. And so she has taken those skills and created plans for people. So for those who are not, they don't know what to do, but now they can have a plan and they can be more resilient and they can be more adaptable. But if that's something that comes naturally to you, know that it's not natural for everyone. Another, creativity and problem solving. Have you ever talked with somebody who you're trying to solve a problem with and they just really can't see other than ABC? Like there's only one way to do it. So the ability to think outside the box or bring a creative element to it is actually a really amazing strength. And then another one is just the intuition and emotional intelligence, which we're going to talk about emotional intelligence. So EQ, AQ, we're going to talk about those like early next year. So stay tuned because I want to explain how, and I want to help you like improve your emotional intelligence and how you can bring that into situations, because that is one of the primary things that leaders are looking for. So whether you are and just when you're working with somebody, if you're starting a leadership, if you're starting a business, starting a ministry, but this emotional intelligence and your intuition, if you have a really good intuition, not everyone is in tune with theirs. So that is also a hidden strength. And so what happens when we leverage these hidden strengths? Well, let me tell you, okay, when you start understanding what you're naturally good at, so you can get better at them, but do you already have, say it's like a 1 to 10, you're going to start at a 5 where everyone else is starting at 0. So you're naturally good at it, and then you can grow from there. Whereas there is some possibility someone who starts at a 0 or 1 can get to a level 9, but it's going to take them a lot more time, effort, and education and experience to get there. Whereas you already starting at maybe 5 or 6, and so it's easier for you to jump up. But it's a confidence boost. When you know you're working from ahead, when you know you're working from something that you're naturally good at, it does give you that confidence boost. And so when it comes into play, it's like, okay, I don't know all the answers, but I do know I can depend on myself for this. And so how we recognize these unseen beliefs, when we start to recognize them. So when we start to recognize our unseen beliefs, it builds self-assurance, that need that we have something to lean on. So when we don't take time to follow the map to discover them, then we're not able to know for sure like what will see us through. And so there's some angst and anxiety and fear there that you don't need. Also, the alignment with purpose. When you tap into your hidden strength, you can align with what's important to you and more closely with your calling. How does your strength, because I guarantee what your strengths, your gifts, your talents, your motivations are going to give you insight to your purpose and your calling or how to achieve it. Like it's closely aligned. And so you're going to discover your purpose a lot easier if you know your hidden strengths. And then expanding opportunities. What you focus on grows. So when you start realizing that, I'm really good at resiliency and adaptability, when you start to embrace that, more opportunities will present itself. It will naturally come because you're going to be looking for them now, and your brain will automatically start to see them. And so more opportunities will come for growth because you know what to look for. And then this is one of them that is one of my favorite ones for understanding your strengths is energy management. When you know what you're good at, doing XYZ doesn't take a lot of your energy to do. Like if you're naturally creative, that when you have to pull in like the logic, that takes more energy, you can manage your time and your energy easier. And so I just love that we can actually manage our energy by just discovering our hidden strengths. And so as we close here, as I talk about how this treasure map that we are going on, and really it is, because we don't know the value of it until we start to discover it and we start to leverage it. So until the Goonies start getting in the value of the gold coins and knowing that what the worth of the jewelry, they don't even know what the value is. And so when you start putting this into play, then you can start to see how this enhances your life. And so I wanted to leave you with a few ways to discover your strength. And so, because this is not something that you're going to find by happenstance. It's not necessarily a hard thing to do, but it does take time and you have to be intentional. And so the first one is to reflect on your past experiences. Look back at some of the biggest things in your life that you've overcome. What are some of the common themes? I like to call them highlights. When you look back, your vision is 2020. You can see. And so when you start to break it apart, and what kind of common themes have you overcome? And I like to call them highlights because I feel like God highlights different things because two people can have the same experience and have very different perspectives on it. Like they focus and they remember different aspects. So what is God highlighting to you? What characteristics did you use within that circumstance? What are some of the things? Did you have to be resilient? Were you very empathetic? Were you able to communicate your needs or needs of others easier? Did you use your intuition? Like things like that. And these are just a few examples of the hidden strengths. There's like, we'll talk more about it. It's also something that I do with my clients is we really uncover these hidden strengths and we bring them to life so that way we can implement them and we can bring them to life. So the next one is, like, how would you describe your experiences? Like journal it out. So that is, so reflect on your past experiences. The next one is assessments. This one I love because it's simply like you answer some questions and it gives you the insights and then you can see like which ones are correct and which ones really aren't. Like assessments are never 100% correct. So that's one reason why it's really good to go through it with someone who understands them and can like pull out the jewels from it. But my favorite ones are Clifton Strengths Finder. So the whole point of that is to bring and elevate your top strengths. And so that way you can start learning and leaning into that more. And then the Enneagram, of course. Those are the two that I use the most. But there's the DISC, Myers-Briggs, you've got colors, there's a lot of them, but you want ones that focus on the strengths that you hold versus your personality style or type. And then also the spiritual gifts inventories. Those are, or strengths inventories, where you it's a list and you like circle the ones that you feel are important. And then overall, like you answer the questions and then overall you like count up the numbers and then see it's just like a self-assessment. But those are really good as well. And the more of those you can do and then see where they overlap. The next is reflect and review feedback. So a lot of times our friends, our relatives, our bosses see something in us that we don't see ourselves. We will downplay it because it's so natural, so easy for us. Whereas they're like, no, I come to you for problem solving or seeing from like different perspective because you do it so much easier than I get in, this is the way it needs to be. I can't see other ways to do it. So this is where you go to respected people. Just don't go to some, if they're not going to give you good feedback, if they don't come to you for advice or, shared advice, like if you don't have a relationship with them that is a healthy relationship, don't ask them. Don't waste your time. But ask them like, what do you commonly get praised for? And why do they praise you for? Like you can like look at feedback you received. Go ask your boss, like, what is one of the things that you know that I will deliver well? You ask your friends, what do you come to me for? What advice do you think? Immediately you're like, oh, I'll talk to Tami about that. And then, what are you looking at? Like, are you good at organizing, problem solving, creativity, communication, logic, support, decision making, or so many other things? But listening to how other people describe it, you'll be able to make connections and then put it through your own lens to see what it looks like in you. And actually that was the third and the fourth one is the reflect and review feedback, and then ask your friends or family. Ask what they come to you for. What do they see as your strengths? And then ask friends. But when we start looking at the feedback we've gotten over the years and see where do we naturally shine, what comes easy for us, those things there's hidden value in that. And when we bring it to life, we make the invisible visible, we can actually pour gas onto it and we can really highlight, or we can go for opportunities that allow that to shine. The same way as if we discover that we're not very good at things, it's really challenging for me to do, I understand the tech aspect of creating like a website. I understand the tech part of it, but because it's so detailed of you have to do this, then you have to do this, then you need this information, that's not a strength of mine. So I can tell you what I want it to do, but I need an expert to actually do it. And so that understanding that helps me know where to ask for support. So you kind of see how it really does help when you know, and then you can tell people like, these are my strengths. You can tell your friends, hey, meal planning is something I love to do. It is one of my strengths, or I love to organize, which is why meal planning comes so easy. Yeah, if you have any questions, I am here to help. I know that you are really good at XYZ, so I'm going to come to you for that too. So it's a way to bring community and to serve, but in a way that is energy bringing and enhancing versus energy draining. It drains my soul. It drains my energy when I'm trying to figure out how to make all the tech, all the different programs work together. This is why I have all Apple products, because I can cut and paste from one device and cut and paste it to another, and it works. If I had an Android phone and an iPad, you couldn't do that to the other. And I didn't want to figure out how to make them work together. And so and that's, like that's not a very great strength. Like that's not but understanding it is helpful. I am really, I'm really good at communication. Like I can understand, I can see what other people's needs are during the communication. Like I can see what they're looking for. That's a strength that if I didn't realize that specifically was what I was good at. Until I started doing the research, I started reflecting and journaling and looking back at my past experiences and realized like, no, I'm really good at figuring out what others need and helping them get it. That is a strength that I can lean into, and which is another reason why I became a therapist and then a coach. It's because I can leverage that in a way that's really helpful. So when you're looking, and I know so many times we're asking, who are we? What is my calling? What am I put here for? What is my God purpose? Discovering your hidden strengths is one of the main ways that you can get some insight to what you're called to do. You can see how God wired you. You can see what comes naturally. You can see where you should, find opportunities to use more versus those things that you're not very good at, which are easier to spot because we are programmed to see what we're weak in and to try to avoid those or to compensate for those. But if we focus on what we're good at and we realize that it is not selfish, it's actually very selfless. When we know what we're good at and we can help others with it, like that is a gift. We are told, especially in American society, like we're taught to take pride in our work and the outcome and results. But what if the outcome and results are not your strength? What if it's the process to get there, or the encouragement of helping others achieve their goals, or get to the next level? What if our strengths are the work we're supposed to be doing? Like how life-giving would it be if we got to focus on what we're good at and allow us to find support for what we're not? And so we've been told that don't get too loud, don't take pride in what comes easily to you. I am suggesting that we do the opposite. Is whatever we find that we're good at, we help everyone possible with that. Now, as for their permission first, people don't like to know it all, right? As an Enneagram 1, I do have to watch because not everyone wants help improving. But luckily, when clients come to me or when people talk to me about it, it's usually that's what they want. And so I'm like, oh, good, I get to use my strength. So no, I don't force feed. We don't tell them like, this is our strength, move back. However, if you're organizing a class party and you know that creativity is not like creating the experience is not your strong point, it's not your strength, then someone else can take that. And you're like, but I will make sure that the menu is set and everyone brings something that is and not the same thing. So you can see how your strength it's part of a collective. Like your strengths added with Susie's strengths, added with Jan's strengths, all build together. And you know what? Susie and Jan don't have the same strengths. And Susie's maybe Jan's weaknesses. And then all of a sudden, everyone is symbiotic and everyone elevates and everyone shines. And we get to do amazing work together. So I want to encourage you as we step into 2025, which holy cow, it's coming up fast. Make an effort, make a resolution, make a determination, make a declaration that you are going to not only discover your strengths in 2025, but you're going to do what it takes to live them out. You're going to start from looking for ways to incorporate incorporate them into your life and to own it and share it with others. If you don't know how to do that, if you want guidance, if you want a roadmap to discover your strengths, like get on my calendar and let's talk. I have 2 spots left for one-on-one coaching for 3 months. I just put up 2 fingers, but 3 months, 2 spots for 3 months. And what we're going to do is we're going to really look at what you're good at. We're going to dismantle the imposter syndrome because that is the call for clarity. So we're going to get the clarity you need. And one of the main ways is go through all of these steps. And I will guide you on the path to discover what your hidden strengths are. So you'll be able to use them right away. It won't take you months and months to discover them, or you won't have to take a million different assessments. Like we will pick what's right for you and get it done. And then like in the 3 months, not only that, is we'll create a plan to use them. We will create a roadmap and get you on that journey to discovering, like after you discover your strengths, after you know what they are, then you can use them and then you could shine. You can discover your purpose. You can step into your calling and you can see how you bring so much value to the world. All right, friends. So get on my calendar and I cannot wait to chat with you about it. I love this so much because I know that when the moment I started embracing the strengths that I hold, that I have been able to make more of an impact, to leverage my energy into something good. And I've been able to make the ripple effects are not even as visible as I'd like, but I can see and I can feel. I know that fulfillment is there because if I can help one person see how awesome they are and how, like that alone is enough. And that's how God wired me. He wired us to serve, to make an impact. And so I just want to encourage you to go for it in 2025. This is the year of action. And I want to walk you through the path to take action. All right, with that, friend, choose joy until joy chooses you. And I cannot wait to talk to you. See you soon. Bye for now.